How avoidants actually fall in love, the truth no one talks about. Avoidant individuals are often misunderstood when it comes to love. People assume they don't feel deeply, that they are cold, detached, or incapable of intimacy. But the truth is far more complex. Avoidants do fall in love, just not in the loud, obvious, emotionally overwhelming way many expect. Their love doesn't explode, it unfolds slowly, quietly, and cautiously. To understand how avoidants actually fall in love, you first have to understand their inner world. According to attachment theory, first introduced by John Bowlby and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth, avoidant attachment develops when emotional needs were consistently dismissed, minimized, or unmet in early life. As children, they learned that vulnerability was unsafe and that dependence led to disappointment. So as adults, they build strength around independence. They don't stop feeling, they just stop showing. When an avoidant begins to fall in love, the first sign isn't emotional intensity, it's curiosity. They start observing you more closely. They notice your habits, your reactions, your patterns. They won't confess their feelings early because that would mean stepping into emotional risk. Instead, they analyze. Love for them begins in the mind before it reaches the heart. At first, they may even resist the feeling. Attraction triggers fear because closeness historically meant losing autonomy or being overwhelmed. So they create distance. They might pull back after a deep conversation. They might go silent after a vulnerable moment. This confuses people. But what's happening internally is a battle between desire and self-protection. Avoidants fall in love slowly because trust, for them, is not given freely. It is earned through consistency. They watch how you handle conflict. They watch whether you respect their space. They test, often unconsciously, whether you can exist near them without trying to control them. The turning point for an avoidant is safety, not excitement, not drama, safety. When they realize that being around you doesn't drain them, doesn't demand emotional performance, and doesn't threaten their independence, their nervous system begins to soften. They don't fall in love through grand gestures. They fall in love through repeated calm experiences. Another key factor is emotional pacing. Avoidants need relationships that move gradually. If someone pushes for intense emotional closeness too quickly, they feel suffocated. But when someone allows connection to develop organically, something shifts. The avoidant starts initiating small bids for closeness, subtle touches, longer eye contact, sharing a personal story they've never shared before. These moments are significant because vulnerability is extremely costly for them. When an avoidant shares a fear, an insecurity, or a childhood memory, that is not casual conversation. That is investment. Love for them looks like letting you see behind the armor. It looks like choosing to stay during conflict instead of disappearing. It looks like texting you not because they need reassurance, but because they genuinely thought about you during the day. Avoidants also fall in love through respect. They admire strength, emotional regulation, and self-sufficiency. When they see someone who doesn't chase, beg, or overreact, they feel drawn in. Chaos repels them. Stability attracts them. That's why avoidants often bond deeply with partners who have secure attachment traits. The secure partner's calm nervous system creates a template the avoidant never had. Over time, their guarded exterior begins to relax. But here's what most people miss. Avoidants fall in love long before they admit it. They may not say, "I love you" first. They may struggle to define the relationship verbally, but their behavior tells the story. They start including you in future plans. They adjust their routines to make space for you. They let you into parts of their life they normally keep separate. These are profound signals. However, falling in love doesn't mean their fears disappear. In fact, intimacy can intensify their internal conflict. When they feel deeply connected, they may experience sudden urges to withdraw. This is not because the love isn't real, it's because the stakes feel higher. The more they care, the more they fear losing themselves or being hurt. Understanding this pattern is crucial. If someone misinterprets their temporary withdrawal as lack of interest and responds with pressure or accusation, the avoidant retreats further. But if the partner remains steady and grounded, the avoidant learns that closeness doesn't equal chaos. That lesson, repeated over time, is transformative. Ultimately, avoidants fall in love when they feel accepted without being chased, understood without being dissected, and valued without being controlled. Their love is quiet but powerful. It is not performative or dramatic. When an avoidant truly falls in love, they commit in actions more than words. They show up consistently. They protect the relationship in subtle ways. They may never become overly expressive, but they become deeply loyal. For them, love is not about losing independence. It is about choosing connection despite fear. And that choice, especially for someone who learned to survive alone, is profound. So if you're dealing with an avoidant, understand this. They don't fall fast, but when they fall safely, they fall deeply.